because of the deportations were so high under the Obama administration, it is hard for me as an immigrant to trust you. And I want to know, if you were to be president, will you stop deportations on day one through executive action?
No. I will not stop all deportations. I'll prioritize deportations, only people who committed a felony or a serious crime.
Separated from their families.
Yeah.
We had this classification of families.
Well, you should go for Trump. You should go for Trump.
I'm not going to do that. But I want to make sure that immigrant families and people like Sylvia are not fair. And you have the power as a candidate to actually commit to stop all deportation from day one to executive action, and we want to hear you say that.
I will not stop all deportations if you commit a crime that's a felony.
Not one more.
All right, so that was Joe Biden basically telling an activist who was pro-immigration to vote for Donald Trump because he doesn't agree with him. That was some total okay boomer energy right there. Oh, you're going to disagree with me? Or you're going to challenge me and President Obama's record on deportations? Well, you just might as well vote for Donald Trump. Really? You realize that guy is not on the side of deportations, right? In fact, he's arguing against deportations, which President Trump loves. Now, let me give you some details here. Now, the activist that was actually acting as a translator for a woman named Sylvia, who was worried about families, of course, being torn apart, is Carlos Rojas, who is a pro-immigration group organizer. With the group Movimiento Coseca. I'm not sure I said that right, but basically he says, look, I want you to promise that you will end the record deportations. Biden says, no, and you heard it in the video. We will prioritize deportations of people who have committed felony or serious crime, basically going back to the Obama deportations. Now, President Obama deported over 3 million people. Oh, okay, right. And so, of course, you don't want to go back to that. Yes, Donald Trump's deportation record is also incredibly terrible and is now worse than Obama's. So what's the logic in telling this guy, well, go vote for Trump then? I mean, look, either Joe Biden is incredibly confused about what President Trump stands for, or he just doesn't care and is just dismissing the demands of these activists. And again, he's not listening. He's dismissive and thinks, no, I'm 100% right. And this guy just gave him an okay boomer. No, I'm not going to do that. So, look, here's the thing. Look, in a statement following the town hall, let me give you more information first. Rojas said, by now it's clear that the immigrant community cannot trust Joe Biden. Any candidate who claims to be against Trump's raids and family separations needs to commit to a full moratorium on deportations. We won't accept empty promises of immigration reform. While our families are torn apart, we cannot allow history to repeat itself. Now look, you guys can remember all this talk about immigration reform, right? We've had this for decades, talking about immigration reform. We never had it. Look, even if Democrats, for example, during the Obama years, had control of both the House and Senate, a fairly short time to be fair, but they didn't work on immigration reform. They actually worked on the ACA, healthcare reform. We saw what happened with that. But look, what this shows to me, and based on the record, is that there are a lot of Democrats that really actually don't care about doing real immigration reform. They want to continue to show Republicans, for some reason, oh, they're tough on the border, man. They're tough. You know, we're really tough. In fact, Hillary Clinton wanted to build fencing on the border. That was her immigration plan. And a lot of that back in 2016, a lot of that gets ignored. But that's essentially what Donald Trump's doing right now, is he is building steel slat fencing. They don't really care about immigration reform. And so I'm not at all surprised to see Joe Biden's just dismiss this this person and these people's regards, because look, they're not voters. If you're an undocumented immigrant, of course you're not a voter. So he doesn't care about you. No, they only care about reaching out to the voting Latino community. And so there's always the promises of, oh, immigration reform, immigration reform. We're going to do immigration reform. They don't actually care. And it's disgusting and disastrous. And it does lead to people like Donald Trump, who arguably have even worse, more disaster. Look, at least Donald Trump, though, he's honest about how much he does not care about the rights of immigrants. Joe Biden at least pretends to say, oh, no, I actually do care about immigrations. Ridiculous. Now, this isn't the only time that Biden got in trouble. In fact, in the same rally, if you can call it a rally, he was confronted by climate activists from Friends of the Earth. Now, one woman in the audience during that time said, quote, "Please don't take money from corporations." Biden's response is, "I do not take money from corporations. If you listen to Bernie too much, man, it's not true." But no, it is true. He does take money from corporations. In fact, because of the disastrous fundraising numbers that Joe Biden has been having over the past few months, and the reason, of course, is that all he had was very large donors who gave the maximum that legally allowed to a candidate, $2,800. They tapped out. This small group of people, normally people who are, fairly wealthy, high up, CEOs, etc., would give Biden money. They'd give the maximum, and then they can't give anymore. At least under normal fundraising, right? Where you don't accept corporate PAC money or anything like that. And so they tapped out, while Elizabeth Warren and mainly Bernie Sanders has raised millions of dollars, more than anybody in the race, from small dollar donations. And so Joe Biden, again, tapped out, so he turned to a super PAC. That's what he did. And so his campaign last month announced that they would accept help from super PACs. And so those are corporate lobbyists. Those are corporate donations. They'll actually take money from health insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, as well as fossil fuels. And Joe Biden himself has actually technically broken the no fossil fuel money pledge. And so, yes, he gets all this corporate money. So Biden is essentially lying to you when he says, oh, no, he's not getting money from big corporations. That's not true at all. Not a good look for Biden overall. And, of course, this is why he's starting to slip. And let me give you an example of that, right? So there's a new national poll out from Reuters Ipsos that has Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden in a tie at 19%. Joe Biden slipping to Bernie Sanders. Why? Because you have, on one side, an authentic campaign that is not taking money from corporations, billionaires, and on the other side, you have a completely corporate candidate who promised wealthy donors that nothing will fundamentally change, that goes and tells people, that are worried about an immigration to go vote for Trump, as if they're ever going to do that, and doesn't listen to people, and tells millennials, well, I don't care. I don't care what your problems are. You do not have it bad. So shut up already. And by the way, vote for me, because I'm the only one that can take on Donald Trump. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. No, Joe Biden is starting to slip, and events like this and the fact that he is so 100% out of touch, this is why. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.